Several characters looked concerned, with one asking what was wrong. Interrupting the tension, Jin questioned whether their anxiety stemmed from the planned strategy against the Demon Lord. Hero Reiki Arias declared she was kicking Jin out of the party, referencing a YouTube link. Reflecting on their origins, Jin Geist detailed leaving his village with Reiki, his childhood friend and bearer of the hero's blessing, to challenge the Demon Lord. He explained they later added Saint Yuri and Sage Ryushika to their team, fighting the Demon Lord's army. Jin stated they had finally reached the day of the decisive battle at the Demon Lord's castle. Reiki asked Jin if he remembered their promise, her voice tinged with emotion. Jin confirmed he remembered the promise. Jin clarified if Reiki meant the pact they made with a priest before their journey, stating they would leave the party if they became a hindrance. Reiki admitted she knew this day would eventually come, but Jin's confirmation seemed to surprise her. Jin responded that he understood, but Reiki seemed taken aback by his acceptance, questioning his reaction. Jin recalled his early blooming blessing, which allowed fast growth but had little potential, unlike the saint's holy blessings. Reiki and Yuri thanked Jin, promising to carry on his feelings and assuring him their bond as companions would never change. Jin's mother called out his name, her voice filled with emotion. Reiki responded to Jin's mother, her own name echoing in the quiet room. Reiki reassured Jin, expressing confidence that he could defeat the Demon Lord. Jin told Reiki not to worry, promising to return for her immediately after defeating the Demon Lord. Now, it was time for her to return to her room, Yuri decided. Packing her belongings became a necessity, Yuri realized. Reiki's wish to fight together until the end might remain unfulfilled, Yuri mused after their heroism. Expressing her joy at journeying alongside everyone, Yuri smiled. Jin thanked KOT scans, admitting he had wanted to fight alongside them until the very end. Rista suggested they go to bed, and Jin agreed, adding that he would get some fresh air first. Jin thought about his return home finally. He needed to defeat the Demon Lord as quickly as possible. Then he could go buy a wedding dress for Reiki. Reiki wanted to arrange the entire wedding to Jin's liking, but first, she yearned to go out in town with him. She told Jin he had always been her hero, showing kindness even when she felt like a misfit. Reiki declared she would always be on his side, no matter what others said. Yuri then stated that Reiki was precious family to her. Reiki echoed Yuri's sentiment, calling Yuri precious family too. Jin asked Reiki if she would marry him if he defeated the Demon Lord. He added with a laugh that it depended on whether Reiki still liked him then. Reiki declared her unwavering intention to marry him. Jin's mind drifted back to a promise made long ago. He treasured the memories from when he was just 5. Jin confirmed he remembered their vow, the very reason he had fought so fiercely. Reiki explained that while they possessed the strength to defeat the Demon Lord in a single day, Jin's absence posed a problem, necessitating his temporary departure from the party. A soft, "Good-night, Jin" was whispered by Yuri to Jin. Her love for him, Yuri finally confessed aloud. With trembling hands, Yuri hesitated at the doorway. To his surprise, Yuri promised to return soon. Playfully, Yuri asked Jin why he was acting so cute, certain he was lost in thought. Despite feeling sympathy for Jin, Yuri admitted their fighting power wouldn't change significantly without him, and he could even become a liability. Perceptive to Jin's thoughts, Yuri knew Reiki planned to defeat the Demon Lord tomorrow and confess her feelings. With sincerity, Yuri apologized to Reiki, stating she couldn't abandon her own path. Tearfully, Yuri confessed that no one truly understood the suffering she endured praying as a saint since childhood. She recalled it was the first time someone had genuinely seen her pain. Yuri asked Jin to tell her a story, any story, and questioned why he would go so far for her. Jin explained that while her prayers saved everyone, she had no one to turn to, a situation he felt was deeply wrong. Yuri wondered if such an action was even permitted. Jin declared that permission was irrelevant. He vowed to confront anyone who objected, stating his desire to help Yuri, not merely the saint. Yuri gasped in surprise. She then commented on Jin-san's remarkable kindness. Yuri admitted that even her frozen heart began to thaw when Jin appealed to her with such passionate eyes. She recalled Jin saying he wanted to support her, Yuri herself. Jin's mother confessed she had cried but remained silent, realizing the perfect moment had finally arrived. Yuri worried Jin might have felt rejected by her lonely expression as he left the room. She vowed to use all her saintly powers to heal him. Yuri dismissed the idea of abandoning her role as a saint, asking what Virginia was. She explained her actions were for the benefit of both Jin and Reki. Yuri reasoned that after defeating the demon lord, their new positions would make meeting Jin difficult, but marrying him as the saint's husband would unite the country. Ryushika noted that Reki should be asleep, while she herself was likely preparing for the next day. Yuri saw Jin's room as the perfect opportunity to cross a personal boundary during this quiet time. She announced her arrival to Jin, calling out his name. Yuri entered Jin's room, calling his name, but found it empty and wondered where he had gone. Shock surged through her as she recognized the familiar handwriting on a note Jin left behind. Among the scattered papers, the note Jin left behind bore unmistakable evidence of his hurried departure. A chill ran down her spine when she realized the handwriting matched the cryptic messages from weeks prior. Ryushika explained that teleportation lion magic was simple, not a secret art only sages could use. She confessed her curiosity about Jin's hometown and asked if he would show her around, to which he readily agreed. Ryushika admitted she was grateful for the invitation, unsure how she would have faced everyone otherwise. Jin reassured Ryushika that wanting to deepen bonds with companions was natural, especially before she had to return by morning. Ryushika beamed, confessing she had been feeling a bit down lately. Jin invited Ryushika to accompany him, though he apologized for not being able to offer much hospitality. Ryushika nervously checked the time, realizing it was nearly time for something important. Ryushika mused that at 2,800 years old, she was at an age where human peers had started families, but she had been too absorbed in research. She lamented that by the time she realized it, it was too late, and no man wanted a woman like her. Ryushika felt that perhaps because she was a sage, she was avoided, and ultimately couldn't even secure marriage meetings. Reiki explained she had taken the opportunity to accompany Jin on his journey. She recalled meeting Jin and how different he was from other men, even when she had joked about her spinsterhood. Jin responded with a simple, "Is that so?" He praised Ryushika, calling her considerate and wonderful, certain she would make a great wife. Perhaps suggesting she deserved better than Jin's indecision, he shifted the conversation. Then he declared that if she was still hopeless by then, she would just make Jin take her. Alternatively, he proposed, Jin might grow wise enough to recognize her worth on his own. Should that fail, he hinted, he'd intervene personally to ensure her happiness. Maybe he joked, but his tone carried an edge of sincerity that unsettled the room. Undoubtedly, he believed Ryushika's patience would crumble before Jin's stubbornness did. Thus, he concluded the only path forward was to let time force Jin's hand. Jin's mother murmured about the time, anticipating her son's return. There she stood before their home, the place Jin would soon enter. Counting the minutes until his arrival, she checked her watch repeatedly. Imagining the joy of their reunion, she smiled faintly. Jin's mother praised Ryushika, acknowledging Jin's heroic deeds. Ryushika thanked her, then knocked on the door. Jin's mother opened the door, asking who it was. Her eyes widened in disbelief upon seeing Jin. Jin announced his return, calling out to his father. Jin greeted his mother, who cried out in joy at his homecoming. His mother noticed Ryushika, asking Jin to introduce the woman. Ryushika introduced herself to Jin's parents as his fiancée. Jin blinked, hearing a soft exclamation. The voice continued, full of wonder. The girl in the red dress gasped, overwhelmed by Jin and his companions, wondering if she was dreaming. Ryushika let out a startled cry. Reki pulled Ryushika aside, insisting they discuss their future, which Ryushika found astonishing. Jin braced himself as Reki began to speak, asking him to listen without surprise. Reki confessed her feelings. "Jin, I like you," before her own words seemed to shock her. Jin pointed out that Reki had never shown such clear affection before. Reki looked at Jin, her expression earnest. She reminded Jin of a past promise, that she would be happy if she couldn't get married. Jin confirmed he had indeed said that. Ryushika worried about the demon lord and the sage's absence, but Reki declared she would go after one night with Jin, startling Ryushika with the implications. Reki confessed her serious feelings for Jin, declaring he was the only one for her. Yuri mused that while Ryushika was wonderful, becoming husband and wife felt sudden. She then considered that perhaps becoming husband and wife wasn't such a bad idea after all. Ryushika. Yuri urged Jin to think carefully, questioning if any woman would marry him in the future. She acknowledged Ryushika's calm demeanor and her own respect for her. Yuri then pondered the opportunity to marry such a woman. Ryushika was approached by Jin, who requested a brief moment outside. Surprise flickered across their face as Jin's name escaped their lips. Confusion hung in the air following the abrupt exclamation. Ryushika. Ryushika confirmed Jin was serious about marriage, and he responded with an emphatic, "Of course I am." Jin confessed to Ryushika that while he couldn't say he loved her yet, she was a precious companion. He then expressed his desire to start seeing her as a woman from now on. Ryushika, taken aback, questioned if someone like her was acceptable, asking what he meant. She then declared that Jin was the one she wanted. Ryushika called out Jin's name, her expression filled with emotion. Suddenly, Jin cried out in pain and coughed, clutching his chest. He vowed he wouldn't let them stop him, stating he had more important things to do. Yuri rushed to Jin's side, asking if he was all right and pleading with him not to die. With frantic urgency, he pressed his hands against Jin's wounds, his voice cracking as he begged for him to stay conscious. Tears streaking his face, Yuri shook Jin's shoulders, demanding he open his eyes and stop scaring him like this. Desperation fueling his words, he swore he'd carry Jin out himself if he just held on for a few more minutes. The girl in the red dress declared her intention to receive praise after healing Jin. She shoved the pink-clad saint aside, insisting she would handle the healing herself. The girl in the red dress offered Jin mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, which was dismissed as irrelevant. Jin felt blessed by his companion's thoughts, but sensed something was amiss. A voice urgently told him not to interrupt the treatment, then cried out for Jin to wake up. Another figure lunged forward, shouting frantic warnings about the unstable energy surge. From the shadows, a whispered plea urged Jin to hold on to consciousness just a moment longer. Jin stirred, groaning softly as he survived. He opened his eyes to find all his companions gathered in his room. Jin felt an unusual heaviness in his body. He looked around in confusion. Jin questioned why Yuri was present in his room. Yuri stirred, a soft rustling sound accompanying her awakening. She recalled Lusika's confession the previous night, and how Reiki had suddenly appeared, causing her to faint. Yuri questioned why Reiki was in her bed, feeling that their current position was inappropriate. A voice called out urgently, urging Yuri to wake up, asking if she was all right. Yuri groaned, her eyes fluttering open as she recognized Jin's concerned face. Greeting her with a warm smile, Jin asked how Yuri felt, and she confirmed she was fine and thanked him for his care. With the Demon Lord's subjugation scheduled, Jin inquired about her plans for the day and mentioned he would pray for everyone's safety. Quietly observing her for a moment, Jin offered his hand to help her rise, his expression softening as he reassured her. Yuri exclaimed in surprise, asking why Jin was in such a place and emphasizing the importance of the battle for peace without the hero party. Jin began to explain, mentioning that last night at the Demon Lord's castle. A booming laugh echoed as the Demon Lord Kaiser Raoliu declared himself the ruler of all demons and addressed Jin as the hero. Reki stepped forward, offering Jin a choice, to die now or later, and stating she would face him with full power if he proved troublesome. With divine blade of judgment raised, love was declared the ultimate victor in the end. He questioned which side humans or demons had held righteousness during the war. Ultimately, the narrative affirmed humanity's inherent correctness and their achieved victory. A message stated the purification seemed to be working and requested service to humanity. The Demon Lord, accepting defeat, questioned what was opening and agreed to the victor's conditions. Someone urged haste, stating that at this rate, there should be no further problems. After fainting, Lusika, the sage, questioned if the Demon Lord had been defeated in a single hit. Reiki affirmed she could have handled the situation alone, admitting she almost pitied the Demon Lord. Ryushika turned her attention to more pressing matters, recalling Jin had vanished when she awoke. Yuri chirped that they only needed to report to the king now, but Reiki interrupted to address that. Reiki exclaimed that Lusika had left the report entirely to her and insisted the hero absolutely had to be present. Reiki declared she didn't know and adamantly didn't want Jin alone with anyone, stating subjugating the Demon Lord was the hero's duty. Ryushika agreed with Lusika, pointing out that someone needed to accompany Jin. She suggested Reiki, who knew the king, should go with them for support while she handled other matters. Reiki playfully told Yuri to take care of Jin and not to talk with her chest puffed out. Yuri retorted that Reiki's nutrition seemed to go only to one part, but Reiki insisted someone needed to look after Jin. Reiki proposed they play rock, paper, scissors to decide who would accompany Jin. Yuri admitted she couldn't quite process everything, asking if Jin had truly defeated the Demon Lord. Jin confirmed he had never lied to her, and Yuri accepted that this was indeed how things were. Yuri then declared that the world was finally at peace thanks to Jin. Jin acknowledged this, stating he understood. He mused that their journey had truly come to an end. Yuri felt there was no longer a reason for her to stay with everyone, contemplating her own next steps. She decided to return to being just a village saint, suggesting the hero's party no longer needed her since she felt no pain. Reiki scolded Jin, telling him not to speak ill of himself. She insisted that hearing him put himself down would make her sad. Reiki firmly told Jin to stop saying such things, no buts allowed. Jin understood, promising he would never put himself down again. Reiki happily declared it a promise, her face beaming. She then playfully questioned why Jin was in her bed, admitting ulterior motives with a blush. Jin looked around, asking if his mother and father were present. He noticed breakfast had been prepared, calling it a vote. A note explained his parents would be out until evening, leaving leftovers and wishing him good luck. Jin worried about Yuri seeing something embarrassing, though he didn't know what they were discussing. Yuri asked if the note was from his parents, then noticed a wind blade. A gentle breeze rustled through the room, carrying the scent of the prepared food. Jin's mother asked why he'd used magic, but he brushed it off, saying it was for no reason. She complimented his new clothes, noting how good they looked on him and expressing her happiness. His mother admitted the nightgown had been too revealing, and that she had been thinking about breakfast. She suggested they eat on the terrace since the weather was nice, and Jin agreed enthusiastically. The delicious home cooking was savored by Jin, who remarked on the freshness of the vegetables. Reminiscing about past times, Jin's mother let her words trail off into indistinct chatter. With a nostalgic sigh, Jin's father recalled old stories, his voice softening into quiet laughter. Reki commented on the morning's peace, a stark contrast to their journey. Yuri agreed, finding such tranquility truly wonderful. Jin felt lighter, attributing it to relaxation and the absence of constant vigilance. He acknowledged that not having to be on guard was indeed a very good thing. Jin's mother greeted him warmly, calling him Jin-san. She asked how he planned to spend his time now that he was home. Jin considered the question, a thoughtful expression on his face. He explained he wanted to take it easy, tending fields, hunting, and fishing things he couldn't do before. Jin then turned to Yuri, asking about her own plans. Yuri shyly admitted she'd like to have children, then winced, having bitten her tongue. She continued, expressing how wonderful it would be if they could chat leisurely like this. Reki readily agreed with Yuri's sentiment. Reki added that if possible, she also wanted to spend time like this with Jin forever. Yuri giggled, playfully questioning Reki's bold statement. Reki confidently stated they were already getting married, so they could spend time together forever from now on. Yuri reacted with surprised exclamations of "Eh?" Reki confessed she hadn't forgotten Jin's passionate proposal for a single moment. She blushed, recalling how Jin had made that vow when they first met. Reki remembered Jin promising to support her when she suffered or felt like breaking. She explained that his marriage vow had been a salvation when she was tired and frightened. Reki described Jin's promise as the light that shone on her during her darkest times. Jin began to respond, calling out Yuri's name softly. Interrupting gently, the need to properly express her feelings was emphasized by her voice. With heartfelt conviction, her love for Jin and desire to share her life with him were declared. Tears welling up, the promise to face the future together was whispered with trembling resolve. Reki reminded Jin they had been together for 3 years. She stated she had seen many of his experiences and knew Yuri well. Reki admitted she had thought about their future together. Reki hesitated, admitting she could sense Jin's thoughts. She confessed that she understood what Jin was contemplating at that moment. Reki declared her refusal to lose, her voice firm. Suddenly, Yuri squished Reki, who yelped in surprise. Reki gasped, her eyes widening in shock. Reki apologized to Yuri, saying she would move away. With a cry of pain, Yuri stumbled as Reki's accidental blow landed. The apology came from Yuri, who blamed the mishap on Jin's role as a trump card. Contrary to Reki's suspicions, Yuri insisted Jin's true nature defied her assumptions. Determined, Yuri vowed to weave herself into Jin's world until he craved her presence. Her vow hung heavy. Yuri would bind Jin to her, rendering independence impossible. Jin's smirk faltered as Yuri's resolve cut through the tension like a blade. Reki's silence thickened, her gaze flickering between Yuri and the shaken Jin. Jin's mother embraced him tightly, her eyes shining with tears of joy. Reki whispered to Jin that she wasn't a good girl, her voice trembling. She promised Jin she would completely melt him, her gaze intense. Reki continued, her words laced with possessiveness. She declared that Jin couldn't get away from her. Yuri cried out that she couldn't see anything. Yuri asked if Jin could hear her heart beating so fast. She confessed her heart was too loud, making her unable to understand. The sweet scent was making Yuri's head stop working, her breathing heavy. Fear gripped Yuri as wicked temptation loomed, her instincts flaring. Playfully, Yuri offered a sheepish apology, her cheeks flushed. Heat surged to Yuri's face, betraying her composure. Her pulse raced, pounding in her ears like a frantic drum. Desperately, she clung to reason, fingers trembling against fabric. A soft gasp escaped her lips, unbidden and raw. Memories flashed, laughter, touch, a promise unspoken. Shadows danced in her mind, weaving desire and dread. Slowly, she tilted her head, meeting his gaze with trembling resolve. Words failed her, trapped in the ache of longing. the world blurred, senses drowning in his proximity. Courage wavered, crumbling like sand through desperate hands. Finally, she whispered his name, a plea, a surrender. Jin's mother embraced him tightly, her eyes welling up with tears of joy. Reki looked at Jin, a soft question in her voice. Reki mused that lying down together felt nostalgic, like when they were children. Jin responded with a soft, amused chuckle. Jin felt awkward discussing Yuri and Ryushika, unsure how to tell Reki about his other companions. He admitted he liked Yuri because she was fundamentally kind and hard to dislike. Jin added that Yuri was also a good cook and had helped him study. He then sheepishly mentioned that Yuri's breasts were bigger than Reki's. Reki playfully agreed with his observation about Yuri's chest size. Jin suddenly felt flustered by the conversation, trying to steer it away from awkward comparisons. Reki firmly declared that her feelings for Jin would not be surpassed by anyone. Jin gasped, wondering what Trump was thinking by challenging Ren. His mother reminisced about Jin sharing her bed as a child, Reki often joining them. She then asked Jin if he remembered Reki from those days. Jin recalled how Reki used to cling to him at night, but would push him out by morning. His mother chuckled, hearing his recollection. Jin stated that such simple attacks no longer worked on him, due to his hero's blessing. He admitted that he might not be able to match Reki's strength anymore. Jin then boasted he could knock her down with just his pinky finger, finding it shocking. He declined Reki's offer to arm wrestle again, admitting he would likely lose. Reki called him a coward and a weakling for trying to run away from the challenge. Jin declared he would defeat her with less than his pinky, ready to give it his all. He challenged Reki to use everything she had, not just her pinky finger, to twist his arm. Jin's mother cautioned him, her brow furrowed with concern for his safety. She then encouraged him, telling him he could begin whenever he felt ready. Jin acknowledged her words and declared he was about to start. A soft chuckle escaped his mother's lips. His earnest effort brought a smile to her face. Admiration flickered in her eyes as he tried. Determined to nurture his spirit, she offered her support. His mother declared victory with a triumphant smile. She admitted she was completely defeated, unable to lose so easily. The woman in white told the man with the scar that battles weren't solely about strength, and losing one didn't mean losing confidence. Firmly, she declared that a loss was a loss, and as punishment, he would have to submit to interrogation. With a sharp glance, she emphasized that the truth would be extracted, no matter how long it took. Still, she warned that defiance would only prolong the inevitable. A voice called out Jin. It asked why he wouldn't sleep with her anymore, reminding him of their travels. She recalled how he used to share a bed with her during their journey. Jin hesitated, explaining that Reki would be embarrassed, gesturing towards his hand. Hearing this, Reki exclaimed she would be embarrassed too, her hand trembling slightly. Yuri responded that it was totally fine. She insisted it was completely fine. Yuri then asked if they could sleep together again starting today, her eyes widening. Jin stammered, his face flushing as he tried to clarify his shared bed arrangements with Reki. He wondered if Reki truly saw him as more than a friend now. The possibility lingered in Jin's mind that Reki might view him as more than a friend. His pulse quickened as he imagined Reki reciprocating his feelings. Every unspoken moment between them felt charged with unacknowledged tension. Hesitation gripped him as he searched for words that wouldn't shatter the fragile hope. He pondered his true feelings for Reki, questioning his own perception of her. Jin insisted he had always viewed Reki as a younger sister, denying any romantic feelings. A frustrated puff of air escaped Jin, his internal conflict evident. A small smile touched Jin's lips as he admitted his happiness. He confessed that Reki was important to him. Jin finally stated that Reki meant a great deal to him. Reki planted a kiss on Jin's lips, her eyes shining with triumph. She declared she had graduated from being a little sister, and that he saw her as a woman. Reki proclaimed her graduation from the role of a little sister. Now that she knew he saw her that way, Reki felt she could stand beside him, not behind him. Reki decided to forgive him for now, with just that kiss. She admitted to herself that she could no longer lie about her feelings. Jin heard Reki confess that she liked him. He realized Reki had pushed herself for his sake and wanted to reciprocate her feelings. Suddenly, Jin's mother called out, announcing her return home. Jin thought about how everyone had confessed their feelings, but he hadn't even given an answer yet. His mother questioned if he had crossed a line with Reki, asking if it was true. Reki playfully chided Jin, calling him innocent, while Rista commented on her proper demeanor, which Reki quickly shut down. Rista then turned to Jin, asking about the progress of another important matter. Reki declared the matter settled, attributing the success to her own involvement. Yuri confirmed that the issue Rista had inquired about was indeed resolved. Reki excitedly announced the wedding venue was finalized. Jin asked for clarification on whose wedding it was. Reki smiled, finding Jin's question amusing. Yuri, slightly bewildered, asked whose marriage was being discussed. With a gesture, Reki indicated her and Jin's wedding by pointing to them both. Silence settled as the couple stood side by side, hands clasped. Her confirmation that it was her marriage to Jin left Yuri speechless. The king's official support for Jin's marriage was acknowledged. Jin's home appeared, bathed in the warm glow of sunset. Confirming the ongoing love triangle, the narrative's progression left no room for resolution. Subtly escalating tension, the scene hinted at unresolved emotions between the rivals. A social media connection was casually mentioned. Lingering unresolved, the characters' conflicts simmered beneath the surface of casual interactions. A website for more manga was advertised. The wedding venue was confirmed for Jin and the three women. The question arose if Jin was concerned about marrying all three. Jin wondered how he could accept affection from all of them. Yuri acknowledged Jin's thoughts but hesitated. Reki questioned if Jin meant all of them together. Jin's mother exclaimed, asking why Reki and Yuri were sitting next to his father. Reki conceded with a sigh, moving to a different seat. Jin's mother insisted Reki shouldn't move so casually. Jin realized from Ryushika's earlier words that Reki and Yuri knew about each other's feelings. But that realization wasn't his immediate concern. Jin knew he needed to confront Reki and Yuri directly about their feelings. He thought about how charming Reki and Yuri were, making him want to stay by their side forever. Jin recalled that both Reki and Yuri had confessed their love for him. He felt confident they would likely stay by his side forever, even without him saying anything. However, Jin decided that simply having them stay wasn't enough. He turned to Reki and Yuri, asking if they would listen to him. Determined, he told Reki and Yuri he intended to have a serious talk. Addressing his mother, Jin questioned her sudden formality. "Why are you suddenly so formal?" he asked, urging her to smile. His mother explained that she had spoken with Ryushika yesterday, and therefore. First, she wanted to apologize to Yuri, asking if it was about her. Looking back, the proposal they had shared when Young resurfaced, though she admitted it hadn't been romantic at the time. Turning to Reki, she stated she had something to say to her as well. His mother confessed she had only just realized something earlier. She asked Jin if the promise he mentioned at the inn referred to the one they made when they were little. Jin apologized, stating he never imagined Reki would keep thinking of him and that he had made the promise without much thought. He admitted his lack of confidence and his desire to proudly call himself their comrade, unable to fight alongside everyone. This frustration made leaving the party incredibly difficult, Jin explained. The burden of his choice weighed heavily on Jin, as he struggled to reconcile his path. Loneliness gnawed at him, Jin confessed, as he couldn't share in everyone's joys. Admitting it had been a lonely existence, Jin confessed his isolation. Though he had tried to hide it, the emptiness lingered. Believing he could never reconnect, Jin withdrew further into himself. Yet, even after the battles concluded, they all remained by his side. Spending time with them outside of the hero's party made him realize something. He wanted to live with all of them, forever from this point forward. So, he declared his intentions. Jin asked Reki to marry him. He promised to make Reki, Ryushika, and Yuri happy. He vowed to ensure their happiness. Jin explained he couldn't choose just one of them. Jin worried if the country and its people would accept someone like him, but he decided to address that later. He confessed his deep love for all three of them. Jin then made a heartfelt proposal, asking to marry all of them. A website address for more manga was displayed. Several light novel titles were advertised, including one about a childhood friend and another about a second cutest girl. The man with the scar muttered that a commoner marrying a hero would never be accepted. In the royal capital of the Alicith Kingdom, the woman in white declared that polygamy with a sage and a saint was out of the question. Someone urged them to be silent, stating that from now on, the king of the mean kingdom, Ultalt me own, entered, prompting someone to exclaim that they needed to become nobles. Someone else reacted with shock, feeling that things were moving too fast. The king announced his arrival to offer greetings regarding Jin Geist's safe return. The king apologized for the impudence of his sudden audience, but was abruptly cut off with a snapping sound. Jin's mother gently urged him to lift his head, her voice filled with emotion. "Jin, you truly did well this time," she exclaimed. She embraced him tightly, calling him her beloved grandson, and expressing relief at his safe return. Jin's mother gestured towards the king, identifying him. She explained that he was the current king of the Myeon Kingdom. Reki playfully chided Jin's mother, telling her not to cling to their husband and to show more respect to his majesty. Yuri commented on the trouble of arranging an audience, admitting she wasn't sleepy and that the moment had finally begun. She mentioned that with Lusika present, they could travel back and forth quickly, but warned against abusing the transfer magic. The narration described the Myeon Kingdom as one of the great nations dividing the continent, governing with a strong monarchy and emphasis on autonomy. Jin expressed his gratitude for the nation's support of his journey, including supplies, funding, and the opportunity to learn swordsmanship and magic. The text praised King Yuvolt as a great figure who mediated between races and nations with ambiguous relationships. The scene briefly showed the Holy Church. Next, the elf village appeared. The king acknowledged that forming a party with individuals of diverse backgrounds was possible due to his support. He also noted that he, a commoner, could accompany the hero's party. Someone stated that Reki needed someone to support her heart. A plea was made to walk together with her if she felt she had reached her limit. Uivrit-sama was recognized for properly understanding the pressure on one girl. Jin's mother happily confirmed that Jin's return with all four companions was for marriage, and she too seriously wanted to get married. Rista expressed that becoming a noble felt like a distant dream for her. A thoughtful was uttered. Jin's mother asked if everyone had properly explained things to Jin. Someone called another a fool. Reki confessed that she and Jin had sensed each other's feelings, happy he was taking their future seriously. She acknowledged that a serious fight between them would cause immense damage, far more than facing the main army. Reki explained they talked it over for everyone's happiness, noting polygamy was recognized for nobles and royalty. She declared that nothing now stood in the way of their marriage, and Jin could no longer escape. With emotion, Jin realized that everyone had been thinking of him, even during his oblivious moments. The gestures of care around him made Jin's heart swell, each one a silent testament to their bond. Overwhelmed by the unspoken love that filled the room, Jin's eyes welled up. A whispered thank you escaped Jin's lips, his trembling voice betraying his newfound understanding of their support. Yuri understood everyone's feelings and the need for Jin to become a noble, but questioned if it was possible without great achievements. She asked Jin if he had forgotten his accomplishments. The king acknowledged Jin's return, stating they had defeated the Demon King. Such an achievement, he added, was worthy of the highest honors. Jin humbly thanked the king but insisted the victory belonged to Reki and Yuri. He explained that he had left the party at the end and couldn't fight alongside them. The king urged Jin to listen, emphasizing that many recognized his efforts. He spoke of the hope the hero party's advancement brought to a world threatened by demons. The king affirmed that Jin's contributions were naturally included in that success. He assured Jin that his 3 companions had surely told him enough, proving he was a necessary part of their journey. The king then declared he would tell Jin one more time. He proclaimed, "Jin Geist, your service this time was truly magnificent." Jin expressed his gratitude, acknowledging the significant support he had received. The king declared his full national backing for Jin's marriage from the royal capital. The king then shifted the topic, indicating a new phase was beginning. A toast was raised to Baron Jin Geist, with his father playfully chiding him for being too hasty. Jin noted their relationship was now state-recognized, though still unofficial. His mother mused that the country must be busy, and they should simply rest and await good fortune. Jin's mother joyfully remarked on how happy she was that Jin had brought home a bride. At the mention of a bride, Reki was overwhelmed with joy by the incredible sight. Her lifelong dream had always been to hold a wedding ceremony at the royal castle, Reki confessed. The day had finally come when Reki could wear a white kimono, she realized with wonder. Yuri stated her long-held intention to marry Jin. Jin's mother asked him to take good care of both him and Reki. Jin's mother warmly welcomed him home, expressing her happiness that he had made new friends. With a bow, Reki thanked Jin's mother, addressing her respectfully. Teasingly, Reki asked if she should start calling Jin's mother-in-law now. Grinning, Reki praised the soup's delicious flavor and depth of herbs, calling Jin's mother-in-law again with delight. Jin's mother chuckled, telling Jin that this was his chance to prove himself to these wonderful girls. Jin hesitated for a moment, then began to speak. He admitted he had worried his father might be angry for leaving the village to protect Reki and then failing to return with her. Jin confessed he had considered that possibility, but then he remembered something important. He recalled seeing the expression on his father's face and realizing something significant. Jin understood that his father recognized he had made many difficult choices in his own way. His mother added that Jin had earned the recognition of his companions and was clearly well liked. She concluded that Jin was an incredibly lucky guy. Jin's father mentioned his name, his voice tinged with emotion. His mother urged him to drink more, noting it was strange to be celebrating now. Jin admitted that this morning he was anxious, but now his heart pounded with anticipation for the future. He imagined the wedding ceremony, feeling nervous about being blessed by so many people. Reki wondered aloud about the order in which they would enter the ceremony. Yuri found it hard to imagine marrying all at once, even with polygamy. Jin teased them, saying they made funny jokes. Reki started to ask who was most suitable to go first. Ryushika interjected, stating it was obvious if one considered achievements. Rista confidently declared that it had to be her. With a startled gasp, the room reacted to the unexpected revelation. His hesitation lingered, voice faltering briefly before words emerged. Eyes narrowing in concentration, the map's details demanded closer scrutiny. Around that time, the scene shifted to the Demon Lord's castle. A distressed demon princess Hina questioned her father, the Demon Lord, about the strange changes and the demon race's mission. Hina looked on in disbelief. The Demon Lord declared that world conquest by the demon race was ancient history. He proposed that they should join hands with humans and coexist instead. Hina questioned where the brave and fierce father she knew had gone. The Demon Lord blamed the heroes for all these changes. He lamented that the demon race, once dominant, began to crumble after the heroes appeared. Hina further expressed concern that her father had become strange after being bathed in holy power, noting his newfound kindness. The Demon Lord then invited Hina to help him clean the castle together. Her father's resolve had been made clear, Hina declared, as she prepared to honor his decision. With unyielding fury, Hina vowed to defeat the heroes and reclaim what her cruel father had stolen. Behold, Hina stood defiant, her voice echoing through the castle halls. A voice chuckled, noting Hina had fallen silent. Pararuka arrived. The Demon Lord's aide, Pararuka, was entrusted with Hina as she understood humans well. Pararuka confidently stated she knew where Hina was headed, acknowledging the Demon Lord's insight. The Demon Lord inquired about Hina's destination. Hina was heading for the royal capital, ready to face the heroes. Hina had promised to plunge them into terror. The name Lusika was corrected to Ryushika, with apologies for the translation error discovered during the light novel process. Several days passed after the royal audience. A teen in a black hoodie muttered that the royal capital was unimpressive. His complaints centered on the humans and their lack of recognition, though they had done nothing to insult him. Silently, he observed the bustling streets without drawing attention. Noting the city's frailty, he remarked on the overwhelming weakness of its inhabitants. Weighing the consequences, he dismissed the urge for chaos to preserve his secrecy. Declaring his objective, he acknowledged the necessity of acquiring an item first. The cryptic syllable Keokyu escaped his mouth before fading into silence. Vanishing into the crowd, he disappeared without a trace. Jin announced his intention to build a house. Reiki questioned why Jin wanted to build a house when things were already fine. Jin exclaimed that he could no longer stand the current situation. Jin's mother exclaimed in disbelief that his parents kept seeing him sleep with everyone. Yuri and Reiki bickered about who started sneaking into Jin's room first, accusing each other of betrayal. Jin's mother shushed them, telling them to be quiet and that it was enough. Jin's mother also told Ryushika to be quiet, agreeing with the sentiment. Rista chimed in, agreeing that they would eventually need a love nest and offered to design it. Ryushika offered to decide the lot size and layout, while Rista volunteered for load calculations for the foundation. Jin's mother then asked about the number of children's rooms they should have. Rista immediately retracted her earlier statement, asking how many children Jin was planning to have. Rista calculated that with 2 people per room, they would need about 15 rooms, questioning the number of children Jin planned for. Jin stated that from now on, they would all be husband and wives, and he wanted to accept everyone's requests if possible. Yuri suggested a large bath for everyone to share, her body growing warm, and then a playroom, before realizing the conversation had turned erotic. Reiki confessed she wanted to see Jin's bashful face and suggested they go outside, hinting she wanted Jin to make her blush. Jin savored the tea, commenting on its delicious flavor. He offered some to Reiki, who readily accepted. Reiki chuckled, asking if the tea had been too hot for him. Jin shook his head, reassuring her it was fine. He expressed how much he had been looking forward to moments like these. Reiki agreed, her hand stroking his hair as she mirrored his sentiment. Jin playfully asked her to read his hair braid, and she happily obliged. Reiki declared she would now spend her time as herself, not as the hero. His mother promised to spoil him endlessly now that he was home. Now that he was home, Jin's mother vowed to shower him with affection. With his return, she resolved to make up for lost time. She vowed to cherish every moment, her son finally safe. The moment he stepped through the door, her heart swelled. Seeing her son finally return, Jin's mother beamed with joy. Reki playfully teased Jin, telling him he looked so cute. She then claimed she was already cute, hinting at more. Reki declared with confidence that she had become the cutest in the entire world. Yuri agreed with Reki's sentiment, acknowledging the shift. Yuri announced she could now hug Jin whenever she pleased. This freedom extended to embraces both during the day and at night. Yuri affirmed they could now express their affection without any restraint. Jin confessed he had also wished to live this way with Reki. The chapter concluded with a website support message. Jin's mother noted his unusual proactivity, admitting she loved seeing him like this. Her eyes shone with affection as she expressed her happiness for her son. Reki playfully interjected, declaring that was quite enough. Yuri agreed, adding that it was indeed more than enough. Reki warned Jin against any cheating, sensing their intense affection and demanding he stop monopolizing him. Yuri sighed, remarking that their absorption was the reason for the situation, despite their hard work. Reki then presented the completed blueprint, eliciting an impressed "oh" from Yuri. Yuri marveled at the grand plan's swift completion, attributing it to Reki's skill and the lack of manpower concerns. Reki explained she had summoned Mad Bone Dragonkin, demons capable of finishing the house in 2 weeks without rest. She assured Yuri they possessed enough intelligence for detailed instructions, which Yuri conceded would be helpful. Reki declared supporting one's husband was the duty of a good wife. Yuri responded that she too had the potential to be a housewife. Asserting her resolve, Reki stated that she should also get started on their plans. With quiet urgency, Reki insisted that she should also get started on their plans. Determined, Reki proposed that she should also get started on their plans. Without hesitation, Reki affirmed that she should also get started on their plans. Jin agreed, acknowledging her statement. Reki enthusiastically urged them to begin their preparations. A moment of silence passed between them. Reki playfully demanded Jin cook her dinner so she could perform at her best. A message indicated anticipation for the next update. Yuri promised to do her very best in their endeavors. A fried fowl dish was proposed by Reki as the local standard, seasoned with her characteristic enthusiasm. In mountain regions, the fowl thrived, its meat celebrated in local cuisine, a fact Reki shared while requesting Jin's guidance. With a playful grin, Reki announced her affection for something unseen, then directed Yuri to wait patiently, her whimsy unmasked as youthful charm. Yuri agreed to fetch the cutting board, rustling as she searched for it. Yuri questioned why Reki was staring at her. Reki insisted there was no hidden meaning, pointing out the cutting board's location before thanking Yuri. Yuri playfully accused Reki of intentionally calling her Miss Cutting Board. Using a knife, Yuri demonstrated cutting thigh meat by running the blade along the bone, scraping the flesh off, and slicing it. She held up the knife at a 45-degree angle, showing how to separate cartilage from meat with a sawing motion. After removing the tendons, Yuri instructed to cut the meat into bite-sized pieces and season it thoroughly. She added salt and pepper, rubbing it in well, noting it was delicious as is. Reki then asked if Yuri had tried local spices in the capital, mentioning her village's standard seasoning. The standard seasoning in Reki's village was crushed garlic fruits. Reki crushed the garlic fruits roughly to enhance the flavor. Jin's mother explained the recipe, detailing ingredients like fowl eggs and dried tororo yam powder. Reki watched Jin, marveling at his dazzling skill, calling it a hobby she enjoyed seeing. Jin asked Yuri if she could handle the rest, and she readily agreed. The time felt ripe for something to happen. Jin mentioned he was cooking with Yuri. Reki and Ryushika were busy preparing the tableware. The routine felt natural from their countless travels, but this time felt different. Someone expressed hope that their visitors would relax and enjoy their stay, calling it a labor of love. The sentiment was confirmed with a simple agreement. When Yuri asked if they would continue this forever, Jin affirmed it would be so. With Yuri playfully suggesting joint work that night, Jin blushed and protested while cooking. Despite Yuri's insistence on shared chores, Jin reluctantly agreed to collaborate on cleanup later. Upon hearing Yuri's plan for the evening, Jin rolled their eyes but secretly smiled at the idea. The aroma of cooking filled the air. Sizzling sounds emanated from the kitchen. Jin's mother called out, telling Reiki to hold on a little longer. Jin responded to his mother's call. She instructed to finish cooking with high heat. Sizzling sounds continued to fill the air. Jin's mother explained the perfect moment to pull the karaj from the hot oil. A final sizzle signaled the end of the cooking. The feast offered bone egg soup, crepes, karaj, and seasoned greens. Jin's mother asked everyone to offer thanks for the meal's ingredients. The spread was ready to be savored. Jin's mother pulled him into a tight embrace. She held her son close, her heart overflowing. Joy radiated from her as she spoke. Jin's mother proudly described the delicious food she had prepared. She called out to Reki, who was already digging in. Jin's mother playfully scolded Reki for eating too fast. Reki assured her there was still plenty more food to go around. Her cooking prowess, she explained, was forged in battles against demons. She then looked towards Jin, Yuri, and Ryushika. Affection shone in her eyes as she spoke of her love for them. Jin's mother confessed her true joy came from seeing Reki's happy face. Suddenly Jin's mother gasped, her eyes widening in surprise. She questioned the source of the sound, noticing a newly arrived letter, and wondered about its sender and timing. She explained it was simple transfer magic, capable of sending anything with a mana trace, though she noted the oddly specific dimension limit. Jin's mother recognized the sender's mark with a sudden, sharp exclamation. She described the deep green wax seal, noting its distinctive crest. She identified the sender as Vault, just as a YouTube link appeared on the page. The message thanked the reader for their patience, announcing the release of chapter. Readers received confirmation of the revised timeline, with chapter announced alongside the update. The author expressed gratitude for the community's ongoing support. Scheduled for February 3rd, the next installment promises expanded content and revised formatting. Alongside the chapter release, a supplementary document addressing reader feedback was made available. Fans noted the delay as a chance to revisit earlier chapters, deepening their engagement with the story. Details about bonus materials, including character art and behind-the-scenes notes, were teased in the announcement. As part of the update, the author pledged to streamline future releases to avoid similar delays. Additionally, the team hinted at long-term plans for spin-offs or companion pieces later this year. The king noted preparations would take about a month due to the extensive paperwork, but found the royal castle a fitting venue for a hero. The king acknowledged Jin's bold idea, understanding the significance of choosing such a grand location. He explained the kingdom could act as an intermediary for the hero couple, deterring other nations and garnering public support by combining the wedding with a triumphant ceremony. This plan also provided funds for reconstruction from demon damage, surprising Jin, who initially thought the condition was outlandish. The king vowed that the Mirren Kingdom's prestige was on the line to ensure the wedding would be a globally watched, fully committed event. He pointed out that the tight time frame, while preventing dignitaries from proper preparation, conveniently hindered the opposition faction from finding an opening. A mention of the opposition faction caused a sharp intake of breath. He concluded by stating Jin would be treated as the champion who defeated the Demon King. Through his research, the narrator acknowledged the sage's significant achievements. As the symbol of the Holy Church, the saint held an important position. Admitting to having surpassed all three of them, the speaker addressed Jin directly, anticipating potential disapproval. Reki reassured the speaker not to worry, squeezing their hand and telling them it would be fine. The speaker lamented their inability to grant Jin a Viscount title, explaining that with three individuals possessing national-level military power, any move against them would be too costly. Apologizing for their lack of power, the speaker pleaded with Jin not to bow his head. Jin expressed gratitude for being able to marry all three women without becoming a noble, stating he couldn't have chosen just one. The speaker confessed their lack of understanding of politics and the difficulty of handling more, apologizing for potentially distorting politics by buying the noble's dissatisfaction. Jin declared that what he had was more than enough for him. Reki thanked the king for creating an environment where they could openly nurture their love. With a chuckle, the king told Jin not to be embarrassed, then apologized for his outburst before calling Jin's name. Heartily laughing, the king judged by Jin's appearance that he would be all right. Relieved, the woman in white expressed that Jin and Reki were together. She added that this union would ensure the hero's bloodline continued. A man with a scar questioned her statement, but she insisted she meant exactly what she said. She explained that the hero's divine protection only appeared in those with the blood of the first hero. He asked if Reki possessed the blood of the first hero. Records showed the first hero had over 100 children, suggesting Reki likely shared that lineage. 100, he murmured. With a nod, he declared it was fine by him, not a competition, before quickly retracting and calling it unreasonable. Then came his statement, "We should reconsider the terms." Afterward, he hesitated, glancing at the contract with furrowed brows. Frowning, he insisted the proposal lacked essential details, demanding revisions. Yet he conceded, admitting the core idea held merit despite flaws. The king explained that permission for the wedding at the royal castle was easily granted due to a legend, which had many nobles volunteering to help. He confirmed the nobles' interest but then paused, hinting at a complication. The king declared that he had rejected all of their offers. He stated he would not allow the heroes who saved the world to be used as mere political pawns, a decision Yuri acknowledged with understanding. The king mused that nobles saw marrying Reki as a path to power, their children potential future heroes, a prospect far more appealing than other options. Yuri expressed surprise that the Holy Church had also approved the marriage, anticipating what would be the most difficult approval to obtain. Playfully, Yuri attributed the church's approval to a maiden's secret. She giggled, downplaying her own involvement. Yuri explained that while the kingdom couldn't track all descendants of an ancient legend, this situation offered an opportunity to assist the current hero's marriage, an honor indeed. Jin felt flattered by Yuri's efforts, acknowledging her significant contribution. Yuri added that successive kings had felt the same way about the legend's importance. Jin looked confused, asking the king to clarify his statement. The wedding attire of the first hero, worn by all successive heroes, was stored by the House of Mjorn. All of it was preserved by their family. The first hero's attire still existed, defying thousands of years of decay. The elf steel and dragon folk had contributed to its creation. Beast folk and fish folk also participated, with only the demons excluded. The attire included garments for both the groom and bride, as well as wedding rings. Reki had seen these items before, having been shown them previously. The last time these precious wedding implements were used was a very long time ago. Aligning all races against the Demon King had been difficult, making the wedding items invaluable. Crafted specifically for this purpose, the items would be wasted if not used, despite messengers having been dispatched to every race leader. Confirming their anticipation, the speaker noted replies awaited from the race leaders. Despite the uncertainty, preparations continued as if the alliance would hold. Vowing to take matters into his own hands, the scarred man declared that denied permission or not, he'd ensure the alliance's formation. He then instructed Jin to simply look forward to the upcoming ceremony. Jin chuckled, acknowledging his growth and telling the man to be quiet. The man with the scar teased Rista about whether she had made Jin into a man yet. Rista snapped back, asking him not to make dirty jokes in broad daylight. The man with the scar apologized playfully. He then taunted Rista about her maiden status, prompting her to threaten his life. Yuri interrupted, mentioning Ryushika's long-standing relationship with the king. Yuri declared she would take Jin's first time, asking them to stop the unfunny jokes. Rista retorted that Yuri would only embarrass herself, but Yuri insisted she shouldn't be underestimated. Yuri boasted about having completed over 100 mental simulations for the occasion. The king commented on Yuri being a saint and how uninhibited she had become since their journey ended. The king explained that the city had become lively after he announced the Demon King's defeat 3 years ago. Together, Reki and Yuri eagerly agreed to explore the city's attractions. First, Reki proposed visiting the bustling market district as their initial stop. Through the vibrant streets wandered Reki and Yuri, captivated by the lively atmosphere. He recalled the Demon King's defeat 3 years prior. The king then expressed his reliance on Jin to quell the demonic threat. Jin affirmed his commitment to the task. A man with a scar muttered that the country was at its limit, staking the world's fate on a child. A woman in white questioned if they had resources for accompanying soldiers, noting the struggling front lines. The man with the scar conceded that pampering them would hinder growth, finding the situation painful. He added that they had no choice but to believe in the divine protection of the hero they finally found. The woman in white suggested seeking the sage's cooperation, stating she wasn't interested in babysitting. Reki called out to Rista, urging her not to run off so quickly. She mentioned a delicious smell wafting from outside, wondering if it was food stalls. With a shake of her head, she chided Reki for her gluttony, insisting no one could stop her, and that Reki needed more awareness as a hero. Exasperation evident, she huffed audibly. Her eyes widening, she voiced disbelief at seeing Reki acting this way, then yelped as if struck. Reki exclaimed in surprise. Rista accused Reki of letting the key escape, but Reki feigned ignorance. From the start, Ryushika had been acting this way, wanting to eat but playing the role of the elder sister, Reki pointed out. Offering to walk slowly with Jin alone, Reki suggested Ryushika run ahead too, but Ryushika refused to be pushed into the guardian role. She admitted she could now smell something good. Yuri also stated she was getting hungry. The king began, stating he had watched Jin for decades. Rista beamed, her expression reflecting the joy of being reunited with her beloved family. Ryushika marveled at the lively festival, surprised by its grand scale after the Demon King's defeat. She noted the massive crowd, attributing the celebration's size to the people's deep longing for peace. Jin cautioned them not to get carried away by the celebratory atmosphere. Ryushika commented that the festive mood made it difficult to remove her disguise, as the capital was in an uproar. She wondered what would happen if they revealed themselves in such a situation, with the Demon King's defeat being the main topic. Jin stated that leisurely eating and walking through the crowded streets was impossible. Ryushika then revealed they had a solution for their predicament. She presented the Shadow Mantle, a special garment that utilized perception initiation magic. The mantle made anyone wearing it appear as the most natural, ordinary figure in the scene, even adjusting conversations around them. Ryushika proudly explained that thanks to the mantle, they were perceived as normal townsfolk. Reki commented that the item would fetch a fortune and teased Jin about his messy mouth. She explained that the disguise made them appear as ordinary townsfolk, even adjusting conversations around them. A sudden exclamation of surprise rang out. Someone called out, "Third." A flustered voice offered an apology. Laughter followed, with a question about injuries and a scolding about their actions. One voice excitedly suggested they go defeat the Demon King, recalling childhood. Another voice recalled playing the same game as a child and never expecting their friend to become a real hero. A quiet observation was made, so it's back. The thought of ordinary days was expressed. Jin was called to look at something. He noticed the hero manju were super popular, even seeing them for sale. Yuri pointed out a steamed bun, noting it bore a striking resemblance to Reiki's face. She then gestured to another item, asking for one of them with a surprised tone. Spotted a product modeled after herself, a saint bun, and commented. Glanced at the display with curiosity, tilting her head slightly. Exclaimed over the unexpected design, eyes widening in surprise. Reached out to touch the packaging, inspecting it closely. Paused mid-sentence, distracted by the vibrant colors of the item. Laughed softly at the playful branding, shaking her head. Asked if others had seen this particular merchandise before. Compared the bun's appearance to her own likeness critically. Wondered aloud who had come up with such a concept. Reflected on how her image was being used in pop culture. Mused that Jin and the others must feel the impact of their actions. Jin acknowledged her observation. Yuri realized they had received support in many unexpected ways. She noted how their popularity had spread far beyond what she anticipated. Yuri found it a little embarrassing, and then asked about a product made for Ryushika. A loud advertisement declared the product to be a harder-than-iron sage rice cracker. Ryushika looked at the cracker with interest. She found the sage rice cracker appealing. Ryushika commented that the cracker suited her, prompting Yuri to ask what she meant. Yuri explained that the cracker represented Ryushika's straightforward personality and honest opinions, which angered Ryushika. Ryushika furiously denied it and threatened to burn the crackers with her magic. Reiki intervened, holding back Ryushika and trying to calm her down while Jin's mother watched. Ryushika struggled to suppress her frustration, her expression tight. Her efforts, she mused, seemed to have finally paid off. Ryushika chided Rista, calling her disgraceful and warning her not to provoke or encourage anyone. She cautioned Rista that violence was never the answer, no matter her dissatisfaction. Rista squeezed Ryushika's hand tightly. Then, Rista called out to Jin, her voice trembling with emotion. Rista asked Jin if he also liked small breasts. In the very next moment, Rista's mind flashed back to a memory from 6 months prior. She saw Ryushika and addressed her, saying, "So, here you are, Ryushika." Rista asked Ryushika if she had made her wait, noting it was strange to see her in a tavern, and if she was lost in thought. Quietly, the question hung in the air as Ryushika responded with a soft, puzzled, "What?" Having lived for centuries, Ryushika admitted she had encountered countless humans, yet... Absently, Ryushika mused over why her own figure appeared less ample compared to Reiki's or Yuri's. Jin called out to Ryushika, his voice cutting through the moment. She realized her expression and words didn't match, leaving her unprepared for his reply. Jin decided it was time to sincerely answer Ryushika's past worries. He declared that he loved all kinds of breasts. Jin immediately questioned what he was even saying. He reasoned that embarrassment was irrelevant for everyone's sake, especially since the robe hid his voice. Jin didn't want to see Ryushika sad, acknowledging her constant help and versatile magical knowledge. He continued, adding one more thing. Jin told Ryushika that she had always been beautiful. Ryushika exclaimed in shock, questioning why Jin was suddenly saying this. Ryushika let out a soft and understood, a small smile finally forming. Jin looked at his mother, who suddenly confessed she finally understood him. He admitted he was surprised by her sudden praise. His mother blinked, asking what he meant. Jin wondered why they had ended up in this alleyway. A mysterious hooded boy asked if Jin was captivated. Jin stammered, asking if the boy meant him. He felt flustered by the boy's closeness and bold words, comparing him to a handsome man from a story. The hooded boy felt a puzzle piece click into place. He realized that while he'd never experienced romance, he now understood everything, much like his admiration for love stories and Ryushika's masculine side. The boy smirked, noting Jin's enchantment, and then turned to Ryushika. Ryushika looked thoroughly confused. The boy asked Ryushika what she thought of him. Ryushika was caught acting out admired romantic scenarios, much to everyone's surprise. Jin could only stare in disbelief. Yuri questioned Ryushika's sudden, unexpected shyness. Jin confessed his love for Ryushika, prompting her to finally reciprocate. Ryushika cried out that it was all too embarrassing. Jin playfully chided Ryushika for her cheesy line, urging her to remember their true journey together. Jin encouraged her to continue. Ryushika let out a triumphant laugh. Jin apologized to his father, admitting the situation had become unexpectedly entertaining. Rista playfully chided Jin for leaving his two wives aside while he was out, agreeing with Yuri. Rista declared they wouldn't be satisfied unless Jin did the same for them, looking to Reki for agreement. Reki wholeheartedly agreed with Rista. Jin's mother handed him a package, her voice warm as she welcomed him home. She sighed, a soft sound of relief. His mother confessed her love for Jin had only deepened, though the recent events had been terrible. Yuri chided Ryushika for her habit of sneaking ahead, calling out to her. Someone in the crowd recognized Yuri and Reki, calling them the saints. The same person pointed out Reki, the hero, and the sage, surprised to see them. The group realized they had been discovered after removing their cloaks, questioning why Ryushika had done so. A voice pleaded for Jin to say a word to everyone in the square, calling out to Yuri. Reki responded with a soft hum. Someone hesitantly greeted them. Jin called out to Ryushika, his voice filled with emotion. His words trailed off, lost in the chaos. They were separated, swallowed by the roaring crowd. Lost in the frenzy, they desperately needed to regroup. From the chaos, a voice called out, "Hey!" Amidst the confusion, a figure emerged from the shadows.